Hello everyone, my name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We're playing as the WWF in the year 2002, and we're booking the invasion angle. We're on the road to WrestleMania, and we're not stopping. Well, maybe we are. We still got a couple shows we still got to book. Speaking of shows we've got to book, we've got Nitro here tonight. I promised you guys on Monday Night Raw that Sting will speak tonight, and he will, but we got a couple other things we got to get through, so let's just go ahead and start this off. We do have a pre-show match, testing out some more of our developmental stars. 55 C-, that's actually really good now that I think about it. In fact, Shannon Moore, former HWA World Champion, outperforming Billy Gunn in this match, but we'll get to that in a moment. Subpar wrestling and a little heat to it. Billy Gunn, the one Billy Gunn, going over Shannon Moore in 8 minutes, 19 seconds with the Famouser. Billy Gunn with a 48, Shannon Moore with a 53. I think Shannon Moore is ready. I think he's ready, guys. And Billy Gunn, of course, still teasing that heel turn that he'll most likely make because I don't have any plans for him. And that's really the only way to refreshen his character, I guess. We open up the show with a 78 solid B as the commentators put over that Sting has a message for The Undertaker and tonight he'll speak. And then a 100 A-star to follow up. Good God, these guys always pull out like a 100 A-star. It's insane. Kurt Angle's music interrupts, of course, the announcers as they're talking about Sting, and the former WCW World Champion makes his way down to the ring. Recap from last week's shows, it's showing Ric Flair and Benoit beating down on Diamond Dallas Page, and then, of course, Kurt Angle making the save. That, of course, then hypes up a tag team match later on tonight that'll be between Kurt and DDP taking on Flair and Benoit. Once in the ring, Kurt takes the mic and he begins to talk, and he goes, "Hey, Flair, I know you're back there, and I know you can hear my voice, so you're more than welcome to come out here, or you can just sit back there with your tail tucked between your legs. Last week, you and your protege jumped DDP for a second time. The only difference is I was there to stop things this time, resulting in tonight's tag team match." And that's when Ric Flair's music interrupts Kurt Angle, the woo! And out comes the Nature Boy alongside Chris Benoit, his protege. They're all dressed to impress, looking fly. And Kurt, he just welcomes them pretty much. He just says, well, it's about time you found your way out here. And that's when Rick takes the mic and he goes, "Kurt, shut the hell up. What are you out here blabbering about now? Rick, you're a betting man, right? I mean, of course you are. We've all heard about your money issues now." And that pisses Flair off. He gets all mad, probably untucks the tie, rips off the jacket, throws it on the ground. He's like, "All right, hot shot." And we got to pull up the handy-dandy notepad real quick. And Flair, like I said, he's like, "All right, hot shot, I'm game. Let's see what you got." And then Kurt, he proceeds to say, "All right, then I'll cut to the chase. Tonight on our tag team match, if I beat you, then you cut the crap and you take me on in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania." So since the beginning of this save, ever since, Ric Flair tricked Kurt Angle, had him believe that he was his protege until he turned his back on him for Kurt Angle's rival and joined up with Chris Benoit. Kurt's been trying to get a match with Flair forever, and Flair's pretty much said Angle's not worth his time, but Kurt's calling his shot tonight. He's saying, we got a tag team match, and if I beat you, not if DDP and I beat you. If I beat you, not if I beat you or Chris Benoit. No, if I make you, if I beat you tonight, not make you tap out. That's something he's going to say in this promo. If I beat you tonight, you face me at WrestleMania. And then Rick kind of smiles, laughs it off, and he goes, "All right. And what do I do? What do I get if I win?" And then Kurt, he just responds, and he goes on to say, "I don't know, and I don't care. It's whatever you want it to be, Rick. Whatever it takes to make you tap out in front of the entire world." That's when Rick goes on to start thinking, maybe looks over at Benoit, sees what he's thinking, and he goes, "All right, Kurt. Tonight, after I beat you, not only will you not get your match at WrestleMania, but I will hold the one piece of gold that it has eluded me my entire career. And that's your Olympic, gold medals, baby. You still game?" And Kurt probably looks down at his gold medals, takes them off his neck, and he goes, "If putting my gold medals on the line is what it takes, then you're on. I'll see you and the Canadian Cub Scout later tonight." And that's when the commentators probably, pans back over them, and they're like, you got Dusty Rhodes, he's just sitting there. "All right, baby. Can you believe that, everybody? Kurt Angle and Ric Flair, for months Kurt Angle's been trying to get this match, and now he puts it all on the line. The Olympic gold medals that he broke his neck over. And tonight, if he beats Ric Flair, he gets him at WrestleMania." There you go. Some of you guys were asking for a Dusty Rhodes impersonation, so that's the best I got. There you go. Best I got. Bobby Heenan and Mike Tenay, pretty weak, unfortunately, but deserved better announcing. Crowd was hot, gained some heat to the Flair Angle feud. In fact, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we did have a couple of backstage incidents. Vince McMahon, of course, that being us, passed psychology along to both Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin gave tips on selling to Rhino. Solid Eddie B is the tag team match between Angle and DDP, and Flair and Benoit is hyped. 66C Plus as Power Plant is hyped, as they will be in action next. That being Mark Jindrak and Sean Stasiak. They'll be, of course, doing the tag team ladder match thing. We got 3 of those number 1 contendership matches. If you remember from last week, Regal announced to Canyon and Moore saying that, 3 teams are going to fight you at WrestleMania, and we're going to hang the titles above you all or whatnot. And Power Plant's getting the first shot pretty much, and that'll be next. But before we can get to that, we've got an 88B+. Good God, that's a great angle. 88B+ here, as backstage we see Matt and Jeff. They're talking. As we move a little bit closer in, we hear Matt. He's talking about game plan, pretty much saying how they've taken on Power Plant. We know what we got to do. That's when RVD walks up, and he just goes on to say, "Hey, what's up, Matt?" And then he looks over at Jeff, and he goes, "Hey, Jeff, you ready to go out there and kick some ass?" And then Matt just kind of pissed off. He looks over at it, just glares at Jeff, and he goes, "What the hell, man? You told me it's time that we put everything behind us, and the Hardy Boys push back for the top." And Jeff trying to calm him down, of course. He goes, yeah, I meant what I said, Matt. Don't get all worked up, okay? Look, Rob, I tried calling. I even left a few messages on your phone. But Matt and I worked things out. We're going to try to put things behind us, and we're going to work this tournament, or this match, whatever. Not tournament. I shouldn't have typed that in, but we're going to work this match together and try to move on to reclaim gold pretty much together. And he goes, I hope we're still cool, man. And then RVD completely understand. He goes, "What? Of course we're still cool, man. I completely understand. That's my bad. I lost my phone. It's completely on me." And he goes, "You know what? Family's everything. But, don't worry about it, man." Jeff, relieved. He's just like, "Thanks, man. I'm glad you understand." And that's when Rob goes, "Yeah, no worries, dude. But, fair warning, man. I'm still throwing my name in this tag team ladder match. I'm going to find a partner. And if it comes down to you and I in that match, well, let's just say let the best man win, dude." And then they shake hands and they walk off. Matt probably still kind of mad because he's just like, what the hell was all that about? He wants to focus on them. Jeff shouldn't have buddies. Matt's kind of still teasing that heel turn if he's going to do it, but maybe Jeff will, turn him, or maybe Matt will be broken. Some of you guys are asking about that too. Heyman still has RVD's manager. That's fine. Heenan and Mike Tenay pretty weak. Crowd was hot for this. RVD looked good. Matt Hardy, like I said, teasing that heel turn, and advanced the tag team 4-way. That's what I was trying to say. 88B+ though. Good job, guys. As we come back from a commercial break, we jump into that tag team, or not tag team match, but number 1 contendership match, I should say. 78 solid B here. About that did good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Jeff and Matt able to put their differences aside because they're go over Power Plant here tonight in 10 minutes, 12 seconds. After Matt Hardy defeats Sean Stasiak with the twist of fate. Not the Swanton Bomb. That doesn't make any sense. Just the twist of fate. Of course, during the match, we also saw Regal and Goldberg, of all people, distract Sean Stasiak. Allow me to explain what happened there. If you remember from last week, we had that big old schmozz backstage brawl between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Goldberg, which led to Austin getting a cheap shot on Goldberg while there's, everyone's trying to hold him back. And he landed a stiff shot right into the gut of Goldberg, and he had brass knuckles on him, so 10 times fold, I guess, whatever, wrestling, it hurts even more. It probably does, though. I don't know. I've never been hit. Nonetheless, Goldberg starts spitting out blood. It's looking bad. Austin leaves the brass knucks there and leaves the scene with Rhino. The brass knucks turn out to be Regal's, And Goldberg's pissed. He's back and he's going right after Regal. So during this match, his music hits. He makes a beeline for Regal. That, of course, distracts Shawn Stasiak. Enough time for Matt Hardy to hit that twist of fate and get the victory for him and his brother. And then, of course, I'll tell you what ends up happening with Goldberg and Regal after this because we got an angle afterwards. Mark Jindrak really off his game here tonight. Come on, Mark. Don't be a Mark. Regal did some good work ringside. Stasiak getting better at his gimmick. Jeff and Matt, excellent chemistry. Matt, of course, like I said, still teasing that heel turn. Is he going to turn? Is he not? Matt with an 81. Jeff Hardy with an 89. Good Lord, Jeff. Best of the match. Both Shawn and Mark with the worst of the match with a 70. But Mark was off his game. Shawn was not. So Mark Jindrak definitely better. Lost heat for the feud, unfortunately, but that's fine because remember, Austin was kind of there. And that 88B plus was completely unexpected. So this is probably where the feud should be at. Yes, let's go ahead. 92, solid A afterwards. The match is over. Regal, like I said, he's running away from Goldberg, trying to get away from him. He manages to jump over the crowd barricade. Thanks to Mark Jindrak's distraction because Mark was, he got off the apron right away and went after Goldberg and Regal. He grabbed Goldberg and pulled him away from Regal, letting Regal get away. Goldberg then begins to brawl with Mark Jindrak before sending him into the ring. He then slides into the ring to, follow him, but then is jumped by Shawn Stasiak, who, is also joined by Mark Jindrak soon. Both power plants start to, beat down on Goldberg as it looks like they have the upper hand, but Goldberg then pushes them off. Stasiak runs at him and he just, hits him with a power slam. Mark Jindrak, goes back to brawling then right at him, brawls with Goldberg a little bit more before Goldberg starts to turn the tables, kicks him in the gut, hits him with the jackhammer, and then I think that's what it's called, right? I always get that and the jackknife confused, but I think it's the jackhammer. Anyway, Goldberg starts to notice that Shawn Stasiak begins to start moving, maybe, gaining consciousness again, and he quickly slides into the corner, and he's setting up for it. Stasiak gets up to his feet, and he runs right at him, hits the spear, and then power plants down. He asks and grabs the mic, and he looks right at Regal as Regal's in the crowd, and he goes, "Last week, Rhino and Stone Cold Steve Austin stepped foot in our territory. And while Mr. Regal, you made it seem like you did everything in your power to keep them out, I don't buy it. And it's no secret, I don't like you either." Gotta pull up the handy dandy notepad again, give me a moment. "Just like it's no secret, the friendship that you have with Stone Cold. You expect us to believe that Austin was able to get a ticket like no one was gonna recognize him? Come on, Regal, you're smarter than that. But the biggest giveaway? Your brass knucks. I know those were your knucks. I know you gave them to Steve Austin. So before I deal with Stone Cold, I'm gonna deal with you, Mr. Regal. You versus me tonight. We can either do this in the ring, where everyone can see it, or I can find you backstage or in your hotel room where no one can see it. It's up to you, Mr. Regal. Either way, you're next." And Goldberg sends an ominous message to Regal as he's laying the challenge out. I'm going to beat your ass either way, so you can either do it in front where there's witnesses, or I can beat your ass in the dark. I don't give a damn. 92, solid A. Shawn Stasiak underperformed. Goldberg came out looking excellent. Regal was very underwhelming. Heenan, of course, still weak. 81, solid B. Backstage, Mean Gene Okerlund. He's got the mic and he's about to interview Eddie Guerrero. Let me cough real quick. Excuse me. All right, fans, Mean Gene here, and joining me now could quite possibly be our next Cruiserweight champion, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie, thank you for joining me. Coming up next, you face Vampiro of the Flock for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship, and after last week's attempted beatdown on your nephew Chavo, I think it's safe to say it's more personal than just a championship. Eddie goes on to respond, and he goes, "Mean Gene, as prestigious as the Cruiserweight Championship is, and I would know I'm a former champion, you're absolutely right. Last week, Vampiro not only looked to embarrass and make an example out of my nephew, he looked at, let me try that sentence again. He took things even further by spitting on the Guerrero name. Tonight Vampiro learns what true warrior pride feels like." It's a very bad Eddie Guerrero impersonation. I'm sorry, Eddie. It's horrible. That's when Daphne's laugh is heard out of the distance, and she starts to walk on screen as you hear the laugh getting closer, and she goes, "Warrior Pride? Warrior Pride is not enough when it comes to Vampiro. You're going to need a lot more than Warrior Pride to save you from the pain that is in your future." And then that's when Daphne just walks off laughing as the camera just pans over on Eddie, just sees him standing there. Raven helped Daphne during the segment. I didn't really mean for Raven to be there, but that's okay. Eddie was good, despite my horrible impersonation of him. And it helped along the Eddie versus Rey Mysterio feud. That's kind of a spoiler for you guys, but don't worry. You'll see where it goes. 81 solid B though. Good job, Eddie. 82 solid B for the match itself. Decent matchup here. Vampiro goes over Eddie Guerrero in 12 minutes 51 seconds with the nail in the coffin, making his 5th defense of the Cruiserweight Championship. He's getting better at his gimmick. Eddie Guerrero outperformed Vampiro, but only by 1 point with a 75. Cruiserweight Champion with a 74 gained heat to the Cruiserweight Championship feud. Eddie is improving in performance. We then follow it up with an 86 B+ rated segment here. The matchup is over, and Eddie, I should have mentioned this in the other match, but it slipped my mind. Vampiro, I would like to imagine, used some mist in the match as well to, help him get the win. Either way, Eddie was trying to rub the mist out of his face. Maybe Daphne hit him with the mist. Who knows? Daphne then goes to hand Vampiro handcuffs, who then drags Eddie Guerrero over to the turnbuckle before handcuffing his hands behind his back and attaching it to one of the turnbuckle chains. Daphne then hands Vampiro a kendo stick, who then begins, just to swing and beat down on Eddie's gut with the kendo stick before Daphne stops him. Laughing with a big smile on her face, she hands her pulls out and hands him a barbed wire baseball bat. And Vampiro, maybe licks the barbed wire, teases that he's going to hit Eddie with the bat. And he maybe, winds up to swing, but that's when Dean Malenko's music hits, a good friend of Eddie Guerrero, and he races down to the ring. He's got a steel chair in his hand. He slides in the ring, smacks the bat right out of Vampiro's hands, and then he goes right to fighting Vampiro, maybe even hits him in the gut with a chair, beats him down with the chair a couple times, I'd imagine, chases him out of the ring, and he, goes over to check on Eddie, and it kind of signifies who's next in line for the, the Vampiro sacrifice. Either way, Dean Malenko not going to let his buddy Eddie get beaten down with a barbed wire baseball bat. Eddie Guerrero was... Okay, I guess I pressed the next segment without even knowing. I don't know how, but I think it said Eddie Guerrero was good, but Dean Malenko looked dreadful. 86 B+ rating. As we go backstage, we see Kurt Angle. He's taping his wrist ups for tonight's big matchup. When in walks Diamond Dallas Page, and he goes, "Hey, Kurt, you mind if I talk to you for a minute?" And Kurt just looks at him and he goes, "No, go for it. What's up?" "I just wanted to thank you for last week. Not next week. For last week. With this war heating up, I never expected a WWF star to come to my aid, especially this close to the end." "Well, you know what? Don't worry about it, Paige. It was really nothing." "Yeah, maybe to you. I'm sure you only went out there to get your hands on Flair. Flair's done you dirty many times, which is why tonight, WCW or not, I'm going to make sure you beat that old jackass. And then at WrestleMania, at this point, I don't even care what side I'm on. I'll be rooting for you to break his ankle. I'll see you out there, champ." And DDP maybe smacks his chest as he leaves, and Kurt just kind of sits there like, okay. And that not only pushed along both the feud between him and Benoit, DDP and Benoit I'm talking about, but it lost heat for Kurt Angle and Flair, which is unfortunate. Page came across well, but Kurt Angle was a real star in the segment. We then jump in to said tag team matchup. 85 B+ rating here. Bout that had fantastic heat and great wrestling. Ric Flair and Chris Benoit. Yeah, that's what I meant to do. I was like, wait a second, wasn't the bet? No, this is what I meant to do. My apologies. Ric Flair and Chris Benoit defeated Diamond Dallas Page and Kurt Angle in 15 minutes 46 seconds after Ric Flair defeats Diamond Dallas Page after using a foreign object. DDP was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance. DDP and Kurt Angle don't work well as a team. We already knew that going into this match, or at least I did, but I needed to do it anyway, so we just ignored it. Heenan was weak. Angle with an in-ring performance of an 83. We already know about DDP, his 74, would have been better probably too, considering him and Kurt have, don't work well as a team. So their in-ring performances were infected, but of course we already know DDP is the weakling because he's declining. Both Benoit and Flair, though, with 94s, lost heat for the Flair and Angle feud. So despite the bet, despite Kurt Angle putting it all on the line, Ric Flair and Chris Benoit do win, and Flair gets the gold medals. Oh yeah, it's true. It's damn true. Kurt Angle had to beat Ric Flair. Ric Flair, he never said anything about him beating Kurt. He just said he had the win. He says, when I beat you tonight, which I guess you can translate as him beating Kurt, but that's the workaround I'm going with pretty much. So despite the bet, Ric Flair gets the match, and or not the match, Ric Flair gets the gold, and there's not going to be a match. This feud, pointless. Ignore it. It's totally not going to be anything. None the way, Ric Flair tricks Kurt Angle, uses a foreign object, maybe even the gold medal, knocks out DDP, and he gets the win. Chris Benoit is improving in performance. Good for Benoit, I guess. 96 A-star rating as we go backstage. We're in Shane McMahon's office. Booker T knocks on the door and he walks in, and Shane's like, Booker T, my man, what can I do for you? And that's when Book goes, hey Shane, hey look man, I just had a few questions I wanted to get off my mind. And Shane goes ahead and responds by saying, well, shoot, what can I do for you? Well, with WrestleMania coming up and the card filling up, I was just starting to wonder. I've been by your side through thick and thin. I've stuck with this company in the best of times and the worst of times. I'm not about to be left out of this war. I guess what I'm saying is, what do you have in mind for the #1 guy at WrestleMania? And Shane, kind of taken aback, he goes, oh, Book, thought you would have figured it out right now. You've got a top billing, my man. I mean, think about it. We've got Sting versus The Undertaker. We've got Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Goldberg. And right next to those two historic dream matches, we've got Booker T going one-on-one with the Great One. That's right, baby. I'm tasking you with taking down the thorn in our side. I want you to finish The Rock once and for all. And Booker T, he's ecstatic. He's like, I won't let you down, boss. Thank you. Pretty much, He's taking down The Rock. He's taking down the movie star, who's not a movie star yet, so never mind. It's a moot point. Booker T looked good, gained heat for the feud, and there you have it. 75 B- as Sting is hyped up. He'll be coming out next. 97 A-star for Sting's message to The Undertaker. We're back from commercial breaks. Sting's music begins to play, and out comes the WCW World Champion. He begins to make his way down to the ring. His title versus title match against The Undertaker. Okay. Sorry, I got a message. Where was I? Title versus title, match against The Undertaker is hyped until he gets in the ring and he takes the mic. Sting, like I said, takes the mic. He goes, woo! Is it showtime or what? Seriously, though, thank you. But as much as fun as I'm having with all of you, that's not why I came out here. I came out here because in 3 weeks' time from Sunday, I've got a date with the dead man. As we go to war, not only over the two companies, but for the two top prizes in our industry. Here's a little fact for all of you. Did you guys know that The Undertaker is currently 9-0 at WrestleMania? And as he and the WWF like to put it, he's on a decade of destruction. And at WrestleMania, he's looking to make me number 10. But I've got to be honest with you. I'm not worried. I'm not worried in the slightest. Because I'm not facing the dead man. I'm not taking on the Phenom at WrestleMania. I'm facing the Biker Taker. And while Biker Taker may have one Mania win under his belt from his match last year against Triple H, we got to pull up the handy dandy notepad one last time. He barely pulled that one off. Long gone are the days of the unstoppable Undertaker, and long live the days of the uninteresting, normal, average Taker. So let me just get to my point. I've been watching you, Taker. I've been watching you from the rafters for 2 weeks now, and I'm not impressed. I'm at the top of my game, and if you want any hope of beating me at WrestleMania, then you'll have to resurrect the dead and ditch the bike. Because I promise you, if you show up to WrestleMania how you are now, then you might as well just hand in your notice. Because like your boss would say, you've got no chance in hell. And then Sting probably, just drops the mic. And there you have it. Sting sends a message to The Undertaker saying he's not afraid of the dead man. He's not afraid of who he is now. He doesn't want to fight this guy. He wants to fight the dead man. He said, if you want any chance, you got to bring out bring back the dead and ditch the bike. So what will be The Undertaker's response? Gained heat towards the feud, though, so good on there. 77, Solid B, brought up Charmel for the night. She's not a in-ring worker, so I figured, why not have her try to work as like a, what do they call them, a backstage interviewer, instead of Josh Matthews, since he's pretty bad. I could just rate Charmel on sex appeal and get that dumbass male audiences off my ass, pretty much. Anyway, 77, Solid B, Charmel backstage with Lord Steven Regal, and she's like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Charmel, and joining me now is the commissioner of WCW, Steven Regal. And that's when Regal takes the mic and he goes, that's Lord Steven Regal to you, sunshine. Lord Regal, earlier tonight, Goldberg made his presence known during the Power Plant / Hardy Boys match when he chased after you, and then took out Power Plant before going on to challenge you. You requested this time to respond, so the mic is yours. Thank you, Miss Charmel. Firstly, I would like the time to deny all the accusations thrown at me earlier by Mr. Goldberg. Despite my friendship with Mr. Austin, I had nothing to do with him showing up, and I still have no idea how he got his fingers on my brass knuckles. It is clear to me that it was a setup that obviously worked, as evident by tonight's match. But may I remind you that in the past I showed Mr. Goldberg that wrestling is more than a few power slams with a punch and a kick. And despite my current job, I have no intentions on holding back on embarrassing William Goldberg again. And Regal probably snarls his way away as we get ready for our main event, Goldberg versus Regal. 79, Solid B, good wrestling, good heat. Goldberg goes over Lord Steven Regal in 6 minutes, 11 seconds after Regal was disqualified when Stone Cold Steve Austin ran in and attacked Goldberg alongside Rhino. So I'd imagine maybe, Goldberg's setting up for the spear. Regal's, looking like he's dazed and about to get his, head speared off. When that's when Rhino runs in, grabs Goldberg by the leg or something, and Austin runs in, maybe with brass knuckles again, punches Goldberg. Maybe not with the brass knuckles. I don't want him to knock him out right away, but there is a little bit of a beatdown afterwards, but we'll get to that when we get to that. 76 for Regal's in-ring performance. Goldberg with a 94. I'm still giving him short matches, but boy, he's an interesting one. I don't want to give him long matches because that's what they always say about Goldberg, but he kind of needs to have a longer match. Regal is improving in performance. Lost heat for the Goldberg-Austin feud, so let's hope this angle brings it up. Of course it does. 90, solid A rating here. Austin and Rhino, they continue their beatdown on Goldberg, just, stomping a mud hole in him, as you would say. Goldberg, he's just sitting there and he's taking it. Regal, he gains his sense back. He goes over and he confronts Austin. He's like, what the bloody hell are you doing? Yelling at him. Austin, he warned him last week, if you get in my way, I'll put you down. He flips off Regal, stuns him, and that's when, he looks behind him and, you see Shane McMahon. They go back to beating down on Goldberg. This time with steel chairs, apparently. They're beating down with Goldberg on steel chairs now. Shane, he comes out, he calls for the WCW roster. They begin to spill out. Of course, I just chose, 3 people that, Booker T and the Steiners, they're kind of associated with Shane, so why not? But I'd imagine most of the roster was spilled out. Rhino and Austin managed to get out of the ring unscathed. And, the beatdown on Goldberg as WCW looks to, beat them down as well. Not looking to let what happened last week happen again, but Austin and Rhino, too quick on the feet. Goldberg getting better at his gimmick. Bobby Heenan still weak. Rhino looked good. Austin was a real star. Booker T came across well. Steiner looked good as well. And it gained some heat back to Goldberg and Austin. Good stuff, good stuff. We end off the show, and we get ourselves a 91 solid A, increasing our popularity in 13 regions. Good on you, Nitro. So as things are starting to heat up, between Austin and Goldberg. We find out what's happening with Booker. Shane saying that he's going to take out, The Rock for him. Sting calling out The Undertaker saying, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of this new persona you've become. I think you're pretty much a joke. And things are starting to heat up on the invasion pretty much. Triple H calling out the NWO. It's getting crazy. I don't know what this decision could be, but I don't think I'm hiring anybody, but let's go ahead and check it. Contract negotiations. Oh, that's right. Someone wanted me to hire this guy. Joe E. Legend. They were talking about him, like, oh, what's he up to? He was in Stampede Wrestling, and I figured, I'll just give him a developmental deal. Why not? So we'll give him a developmental deal, and he looks like he'd be an HWA guy, so we're gonna send him an HWA. There we go. And then Daphne apparently wants a pay rise, so you know what, Daphne? I'm gonna give you. Yeah, I'll give you the full pay rise. What the hell? What the hell? And what do we got here? I don't want to check that because I get a little. I always get worried because there's some things I do have hidden from you guys that I don't want you to see, and I'm always like, oh, what if, like, say somebody has an opinion on somebody, and I don't want you to know that yet. Nonetheless, Rhino does have an opinion. It's on Billy Gunn. He says he doesn't connect with the fans, and we should probably write him off. I did, but my buddy Chris wants me to push him, so I pushed him. Nonetheless, though, guys, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe if you have not already. And as always, don't forget to share this video with your friends, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams. I don't give a dams. Any social media account out there, anybody you feel would enjoy the content, give them a share. And, maybe help your boy out, gain some new subscribers here. As always, I've got some friends you can always check out down below in the description. I recommend checking out my buddy Zach, always active on Twitch about every day. My buddy Reiji Yoshi always uploads at least, a video on YouTube every day, it looks like as of right now. He's been doing like Final Fantasy X, so if you want to check that out, that's your kind of thing, go ahead and check it out. That's it, though. I will see you guys for everyone's favorite show, Sunday Night Heat. I'll try to get these out in a little bit more of a consistent fashion. I know I've been kind of lacking here lately. But with the, whole invasion angle, I try to want to, especially with WrestleMania, I want to, like, make sure everything is, like, to my, my fitting, I guess. Call me a perfectionist, but that's just how it is. Either way, though, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.